Hey everybody, welcome to this devlog update for my Federation and Empire port. Today we are going to be talking about some enhancements to the Battleforce Selection and combat system, as well as support for scout ships. Alright, so let's jump into it. The first thing that I want to show you today is the new drag and drop interface for Battleforce Selection. Here I've got a simple battle between the Klingons and the Federation, well, in one Hydrogen ship. So I, as before, select my flagship, but once my flagship is selected, I can then drag and drop in the units that I want to use in my battle force, and the system will automatically let me know where a particular unit is allowed to be used. So if I grab like this D7 here, I can see I can put it on the battle line, or since the Klingons are using command points, I can also put it in the command slots. Now, if I just drop it in anywhere on the battle line, it's going to go ahead and put it in whatever the first slot is there. So again, right here, I drop it on number 7, and yep, it's going to go ahead and put it in that command point slot. Likewise, if I grab a drone ship here, I could put it on the battle line if I want, but it's also available for the support echelon. Also added support with scouts, which we'll get more into that in just a second. So here, if I grab a scout, I've got the ability to put it in the free scout slot. Or in the case of the Klingon, since their drone ship is a scout as well, it could also go in the free scout slot. Of course, then it wouldn't be able to contribute its drone factors to the battle. So I can go ahead and build out my force this whole way now. Even though I don't need it, I'll go ahead and put that free scout in there anyway. Same thing with the carriers. I can grab the carrier group and I can put it then in the support echelon or on the battle line. Here, if I put it in the support echelon, of course, then it generates the fighters, and the fighters get added to the battle line. Let's go ahead and we'll just add a couple more ships in here. I can still choose then which ship I want to actually get the formation bonus. Here, we'll go ahead and move the flagship in there, and now, yep, the Klingons are ready. Same thing with the Federation, of course. Although in their case, I didn't use any command points, so you'll note the command point spots still show as not being allowed. If I drop the carrier group in the battle line, of course, they all show up there. We'll go ahead and put these guys on. Now, of course, I know we're going to talk more about scouts in a minute, but the system does support, obviously, if the free scout doesn't contribute any of the battle, but if it does, happens to be a hybrid ship like this Klingon, this Hydrogen ship, its fighters will contribute to the combat potential. So here at 66, drop that guy in the free scout slot. It goes up to 69 because, of course, the fighters are participating, even though the scout itself is not. In addition to having kind of cleaned up this interface and made it a little bit easier to use, I also cleaned up what it looks like now once you actually enter in the battle. So it gets rid of all the slots that are not being used and is just showing you the battle force that you actually have set up. So same thing here on the looking at it from the Klingon player's perspective. One other thing I want to do, I just kind of wanted to make things look a little bit better, starting to add a little bit more polish into the system as we go. Did add the capability here where when you are actually inflicting damage on your enemies, it does start to do a little bit of animations and what have you. So here, like if say I want to blow up this destroyer, boom, you can see, yep, I did just spend 9 points there. So, you know, it's not super exciting, but just a nice little bit of polish to add into the system so you can kind of see how that does. As I mentioned a second ago, I added support for scouts. So in addition to being able to have those units now and drop them in the free scout slot or anywhere in your battle force, really, you also have the ability to produce those. So if I choose to do a substitution, and here, let's say I want it from my F5, I want to substitute in an F5S, I can choose to build that. And of course, I can see the costs that are associated with that. One thing, of course, per the rules, you're only allowed to build one scout per turn. So if I go back in here and substitute and say I want to build an F5, now that F5S is disabled, and you can see on the tooltip there, it's saying, hey, you've already built a scout this turn. Likewise, in the case of the Klingons, since their drone cruiser is actually a Scout as well. You'll note you can't build that either because you're still already building a Scout, as the rules do explicitly call out not being able to do that. One thing I didn't mention that's not super obvious here is now with the Scout support in the system, in the situation where one side has a Scout and the other side does not, it will automatically adjust the die rolls. There's not any visual indication of this is taking place right now, so that's something that I'm considering adding in to make it a little bit more obvious when some type of modifier has been applied to your die roll. Okay, and otherwise there are actually a bunch of little minor under the hoods things that got done this past week. But I'm not going to bore y'all with walking through all of that. I would talk about a little bit about what's coming next here. So I have gone through the entire rulebook and mapped out everything that I still need to do. So you can see that's what all these different cards are here that are keeping track of all the different activities that still need to get done. What I'm going to be focusing on next is everything having to do with tugs. So I've picked up these 13 or so cards to set up tugs. Of course, you'll see assigned tug missions on here a couple of times because obviously that takes place a couple of different times along the way, whether that's in the shipyard phase or the economics phase, or, there's different places when you can change your tugs. But that is what the focus for the next week is going to be all about. Thanks. I really appreciate you taking a look at this. Obviously, I'd love it if you gave us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.